Hello everyone and welcome back to another average review. Very recently I took a look at the Mcfarlane DC Direct Golden Age Wonder Woman. Well, now I'm taking a look at the figure she was paired with in that line, the DC Direct Red Platinum Edition Steve Trevor. So, looking at the packaging, it's of course nearly identical to the Wonder Woman one, minus the fact that Steve Trevor's name is down here, and there's this Mcfarlane Red Platinum sticker, which we'll get to much later. It's annoying. Still, same, blurb about this being a Page Punchers with a comic book, says it's exclusive, but spoilers, it's the same as the regular release Wonder Woman, which makes sense, but I don't know. I think it would have been nice if this Steve Trevor came with a unique one. Of course, the DC Direct logo, you can see the figure and the very little stuff he comes with, along with, of course, the DC Direct logo down here. So, yeah, pretty much the same as Wonder Woman, just with the one line of text changed and this little sticker, which is gonna prove to be a pain later on. So, hey, let's get old Steve out of the box. Alright, getting Steve Trevor out of the package, and just like the Wonder Woman he's paired with, he's a really accurate depiction of Steve Trevor's Golden Age design. I mean, zooming into the head, to me, that is just like a perfect Golden Age-esque head sculpt for a figure. The big square jaw, the sort of smile he's giving off, it's really nice. I feel like Mcfarlane does these super classic old school head sculpts really well for the most part, and this is no exception. I like the way his eyes are painted, his hair, pretty nicely sculpted, and he's got a really cool looking hat with that eagle on top, which is also painted a bit of a shiny brass or gold. Pretty nice. Looking at his coat, and I'm pretty sure this torso piece is new. I'm not sure about the arms though, those might be reused, same with the legs. Doesn't really matter. This coat looks really nice. I love, whatever these things are under the badge. I actually don't know what they're called, but they're painted really, really well. The strap and belt combo over the coat looks really good. This is a pretty classic, generic military uniform, and I do like that. I like the way his tie looks. The back doesn't really have much, but it's painted the whole way through. His sleeves have some pretty nice detailing. He's got his brown gloves on. The coat kind of comes down here around the waist, which is always nice. The pants, they're this beige color, and I think it looks really nice. They're a bit wrinkled up near the boots because they're being tightened up. I like the little pouches on the thighs. The beige, like I said, pants are beige. They work really nice with all the browns and, olive greens. The boots, really nicely done in terms of sculpting. Really isn't much painting at all. It would have been nice if they painted the laces black, but also that could very easily be messed up since, the laces are super tiny. So yeah, overall, I really like how the Steve Trevor looks. You could use him as a generic military officer, or, of course, Steve Trevor, because that's who this is. Honestly, I see a lot of really great customizing potential for this guy. So yeah, really good overall. But hey, sculpting definitely isn't everything, and neither is paintwork. We gotta see how this guy's articulation is. Now, as usual for a Mcfarlane figure, his head is on a dumbbell joint. He can look up a pretty good amount, can look down this far, spin his head around, and gets really, really good tilt side to side, actually. This is probably some of the most, deep tilt I've ever seen on a Mcfarlane figure. He doesn't, I think he actually does he has Mcfarlane rotator cuffs that gives you a bit of wobbling around, which is a bit surprising since I don't think coated figures like this actually usually get the rotator cuffs. His arms, of course, can spin around and hinge way above 90 degrees, which is pretty nice. He's got bicep swivel, which lets you spin his arms all the way around. Double jointed elbows with a pretty much perfect bend, which is really nice to see. he's got the Mcfarlane wrist articulation, which spins around, and, well, it does get a bit of hinging, but it's kind of blocked by, his sleeve cuffs. Now, this coat is an overlay, so it covers any joints that we could see, but I assume he just has a ball joint in the waist, since that's usually how it works with these figures. He actually might have more hunch forward than, like, a regular Mcfarlane figure with a ball jointed waist and diaphragm joint. He doesn't really have much arch back at all, but he does spin around and tilt side to side. I am surprised. This coat overlay actually didn't limit the torso articulation very much. He actually gets a pretty decent kick forward. It's under 90 degrees, but he's got this, bit of his coat around the waist and also, the Mcfarlane style hips. They also get a pretty decent split. Once again, when considering that waist piece, they don't really get much twist in the hip, but he does have double jointed knees with, again, a really nice bend, along with the Mcfarlane toe articulation and ankles that can spin around, hinge forward and back, and pivot side to side, although they're kind of blocked by the boot sculpting. So I gotta say, I'm surprised at how well this Steve Trevor is articulated. He might actually be a little bit better articulated than Wonder Woman, which is weird to say considering he's wearing this bulky military coat. Moving on to the figure comparisons, though, and we of course have to start out with the standard male and female comparisons. The Hasbro Marvel Legends Renew Your Vows Spider-Man and Spinneret. Although, sticking with Marvel Legends for a second, for another blonde guy named Steve, who fought in World War II and teamed up with Wonder Woman, we have the 20th anniversary Captain America. Yes, in the recent Marvel and DC crossovers that both companies are doing, there's gonna be a Captain America and Wonder Woman team up, which, is just absolutely perfect. Although, moving on to the DC comparisons, and we of course have to start out with the figure this Steve Trevor was made to pair with, the Golden Age Wonder Woman. These two look spectacular together. They both perfectly encapsulate their Golden Age designs for the most part. And also, I do like how Wonder Woman is actually taller than Steve, which definitely represents their early dynamic of Wonder Woman actually being the one to pull Steve out of sticky situations and save him. So yeah, like I said, these two look perfect together. Although, hey, for some comparisons with other Golden Age era heroes, we have Detective Comics 27 Batman and Fleischer Studios Superman to round out the DC Trinity with Wonder Woman. For some more heroes, we have The Flash Jay Garrick and Green Lantern Alan Scott. And after seeing these two figures together, man, the head sculpts on Jay Garrick and Steve Trevor actually look a bit similar. They do have plenty of differences, minus the hat, of course, but I don't know, I think it's kind of interesting how they both look similar. At least at a first glance. For some Target exclusive figures, we have Hourman and Wildcat. And for some guys who love the colors blue and yellow, we have the Mattel DC Universe Classics Al Pratt Adam and the Mcfarlane DC Digital Dr. Fate. But hey, as is tradition, here's the Mcfarlane DC Direct Golden Age Steve Trevor with the Marvel Legends Hit Monkey and Goliath. Alright, moving on to the accessories, and unfortunately there is not really much to talk about here. Since this is a Page Punchers, he does come with a comic, just like Wonder Woman is the same reprint of Wonder Woman #1, and yeah, I definitely see why they included that with the Golden Age Wonder Woman, and I get why they both included it with this Steve Trevor figure, and also kinda just didn't give an entirely different comic to this guy since he's a lot harder to find. but we'll get back to that. In terms of actual accessories, well, he's got this figure stand just like Wonder Woman, and it's got that nice old classic DC logo, which I do like. He's of course got his own trading card. I really like the art used for this. I mean, it's super good art of Steve Trevor. And on the back, we have a bio right here. Pause if you want to read it. Now, what are the actual accessories for Steve Trevor? Not things like comics, cards, or stands. Well, of course, Steve Trevor is a soldier, so he's got his pistol at the ready. Now, for a while, a couple years actually, Warner Bros. Straight up banned Mcfarlane Toys from putting guns with the regular, 14 plus DC figures. By now, I'm pretty sure that ban has been overruled. But hey, either way, even if this isn't a regular DC figure, it's still pretty cool to have, actual weapons back in the DC multiverse line. Now, what would be even nicer is if Steve Trevor actually came with anything else, because his only character-specific accessory is this regular pistol. It's not a bad pistol, but I wish there was more than that, especially when considering that Wonder Woman got a total of 6 hands. Granted, she didn't get her iconic weapon, the Lasso of Truth, but I mean, still. Alright, now let's talk about the price and also rarity of this Steve Trevor. Now, his retail price, just like Wonder Woman, is usually around $28, which is the price I picked him up for at Target. But Steve Trevor is a red platinum. Now, you may be wondering, what is that? Well, regular platinums are just super rare repaints of an existing figure. They do this pretty much all the time in the DC Multiverse Collector Series. Stuff like for the Strange Live Superman I reviewed very recently, they did Superman Red as the platinum. Now granted, that came with actual different accessories, but usually it's just a repaint. Now what's a red platinum? Well, a red platinum is not a variant of an existing figure, pretty much. It's just a new figure that's harder to find than a regular release. Not as hard to find as a platinum, but still harder to find, and I don't get why. I mean, it's meant to be for figures that might not sell as well, but like, I don't know, it just feels kind of dumb and pointless. And it just makes collecting figures like Steve Trevor or The Question really, really difficult, which is super annoying. Now, since this guy is, such a rare figure, it's pretty likely you'll have to resort to eBay if you can't find him in stores or even online. So, on eBay, if you're looking for this guy in box, you'll have to pay between, I'd say around $45 to $55, which I'd say is super ridiculous for just a regular figure that comes with one accessory. Granted, of course that's not the retail price, but it's a result of this figure being ridiculously rare. So, overall, what are my thoughts on the Red Platinum Steve Trevor? Well, in terms of the figure on its own, he's really good. He's got a great sculpting and paintwork. The articulation is actually better than I expected, and he pairs really well with other Golden Age characters. Especially the one he's, designed to be paired with, the Golden Age Wonder Woman. And I could also see a lot of custom potential for this guy as just really any character wearing a regular military uniform. Is what I would say if this figure were easier to find. The Red Platinum system is just so dumb in my eyes. It's just a way to artificially boost the rarity of a figure. Another thing I don't like about this guy, he doesn't really come with anything other than his gun. I mean, just the figure stand, card, and comic book that all page punchers come with. I mean, especially compared to Wonder Woman, even if this guy's super rare and they didn't want to spring for a bunch of new accessories and tooling, I mean, there's already a bunch of suited hands you could probably use for these arms. So, overall, I feel like the figure itself, really good, and it pairs well with other Golden Age characters, but I feel like in terms of the rarity, pricing, and accessories, this guy sort of falls flat. So overall, I'm going to give the Mcfarlane DC Direct Page Punchers Steve Trevor a 7 out of 10. I wish he was better, but I am really glad at how well he pairs with the Golden Age Wonder Woman. And hey, he'll probably be joining my display of the Justice Society / Golden Age superheroes. So, if you're still watching this, first of all, thank you, obviously. And second of all, what are your thoughts on red platinums? Do you actually think they're a good idea? Or are you like me and think they're the bane of this line's existence? Finally, though, since you made it here, have a great day, because you deserve it. Bye-bye.